pictures on a black background say Thriving with Vision Loss with special guest Paul Hunt. This is a Zoom-style interview with Michelle on the left in a purple shirt and purple headband, seated in a black chair with a brown slat background. Paul Hunt is seated at the right, wearing a green shirt and headphones in a white office with brown doors. What happens when blind professionals are given the right training, the right technology, and real access to opportunities? Today, I'm joined by Paul Hunt, a graduate of the Access Technology Institute, who has worked inside federal systems helping to train others in accessibility and assistive technology. This is Thriving with Vision Loss, an eleVIVO original series sharing real stories, practical tools, and lived wisdom from people building meaningful, thriving lives with blindness or low vision. eleVIVO supports individuals and families navigating vision loss and works to help agencies, not-for-profits, and public systems to do that work effectively at scale.
I was born in Mount Clemens, Michigan in 1953, and I was born 2.5 months premature, and I have what we call retinopathy of prematurity. What that means is the doctors had to keep me alive, so they didn't know about monitoring blood gases back then, and so they gave me too much oxygen, and a whole bunch of kids in that era have ROP.
Oh my.
And so I started there. I went to the Michigan School for the Blind, graduated in 1971. I went to college. I had got a 2-year associate degree in liberal arts, kind of with an emphasis on business. And then I went to work for the Internal Revenue Service in 1974, and I did tons of stuff with them. I started working on the phones. I answered the toll-free telephone lines. I was promoted to a taxpayer service specialist, which meant that I did speaking engagements. I learned how to instruct. In about 1980, I took my instructing course in IRS and did speaking engagements. I did public affairs, which was fun for one filing season. Did all the radio shows for the area. Was on CNN. It was just a lot of fun. I tried my stint at managing, which I did not like because I had 17 great people and 3 people that weren't so great, and we ended up having to get rid of them, and that spent all my time dealing with them rather than wanting to really help the people that really would appreciate it.
I think that
So
happens in all jobs.
it
Management is
does.
tough and
It
it's not that much fun.
it does. And so I decided that wasn't my career. Well, in 1980, I got a chance to get an Opticon. An Opticon is no longer made, but it is a device that allowed us to read print. It had a box that sat on the table with the electronics, and it had a camera that was kind of like a pocket knife, but not shaped like that, but sort of that size. You would scan it over the page, and you could actually read on the display, and that changed my life. I actually changed it completely.
Okay.
So in 1980, about 1980, they came up with this first VersaBraille, which is the first word processor for the blind. It was a big device. It stored stuff on cassette, and it was nice. It was just primitive according to today's standards, but they offered, of course, to the person that had the most seniority, and for the IRS and the guy they offered it to said, no, give it to Paul, let him do it. And so they gave it to me, and I ran with it.
That's great.
In 1982, oh, by the way, once I was working with the VersaBraille, I was sent to other offices to help them work with them as well. And in 1982, at that time, Reagan was threatening to cut taxpayer service, cut the phone lines. Now, today, if that was to happen, I would say, nah, whatever. But then I was scared to death. I said, got to do something. I cannot let that happen. So I started going back to school and taking programming. So I took programming in 1983 and 84, and programming, I did pretty well in it. So what happened is I was on a business trip teaching the VersaBraille with the regional analyst that was going with me, and we were on our way back. And she said, my boyfriend is the program manager in IT. And I told her, boy, if I had a chance, I would just stay. She said, we can't keep people. we get these trainees that go to college and we can't keep them. And I said, if I had an opportunity, I'd stay. And so she told him, and I got a detail, and then things just took off from there.
Oh, wow.
I was a programmer for 5 years and a system administrator. Then I got into a training center and I taught regular sighted folks technology. And I developed my first learning management system that IRS had. It was primitive, but it worked. And became a project manager and retired as a project manager. But before I retired, IRS had a continuing education thing. We could actually apply and get your courses paid for. So there is when I contacted Access Technology Institute and took their courses. I also took some Microsoft courses as well that helped me in a lot of the development and programming work at IRS. But I took the ATI courses and graduated before I retired.
Okay.
And then after I retired, I contacted Integration Technology Group, and I just told them, give them my name, told them I worked for the IRS, and sent them a resume. They hired me without an interview.
Wow.
And the reason they did is because they knew about me, basically because the contractors, the people at IRS worked with me, so they knew about me. So they hired me. I started working in 2012, and I just retired in January of this year. And then in 2019, I started working for the state of Texas as well, doing contract work for them, teaching rehabilitation customers technology. And I just finally just retired from that this year.
You are a busy man. You are an
So my wife,
incredibly.
so my wife said, she says I'm busy,
Well,
In
I
fact,
can't sit still either.
she said, please retire. I want to be able to do stuff with you, and I don't want work to stop us. And I said, okay. And so I'm still doing things, but I'm not. I'm starting to do some stuff with ATI, Access Technology Institute. I'm doing some Microsoft testing with blind information technologies. It's Solutions, Blind Information Technology Solutions, which is they're an affiliate of the American Council of the Blind. And so we're doing some Microsoft scenario testing, things like that. So I'm in the game, but I'm not, I'm just kind of doing what I want to do and having
You're on
fun
the
with it.
game. You're actually in the game doing what you feel like doing as opposed to what you
Exactly.
have to do,
Exactly.
which is an ideal situation.
Yes.
So what does ATI do and who is it really designed to serve?
ATI is basically designed to train trainers. So her basic mission is to train trainers so they can go out and train people.
Got it.
And what makes ATI unique is ATI teaches Kathy Ann. ATI is a one-person shop basically. Kathy Ann is the driving force, and she's actually the owner. And basically, her whole philosophy is, I'm going to teach not keystrokes, not specific tasks. I'm going to teach you how to think. I'm going to teach you how to do your own thing. Think of it this way. The best way I can tell you is, when you learn to drive, people are taught to drive so they can go anywhere, right? When you go through driver's training, you're taught the rules of the road, read the signs, and then you should be able to go anywhere, any place, and drive and get there safely, and that sort of stuff. With blind folks, people with vision loss, blind folks, there are two schools of thought on this. So instead of driving, we're taught orientation and mobility. And there's two ways to do this. You can teach people specific routes, or you can teach them the skills they need to figure out what's going on anywhere.
Got it.
And that's what I was taught when I was in school. My orientation and mobility instructor told me, Paul, you should be able to go anywhere in this country and figure it out.
Hmm.
And the truth is, I can.
That's
The
great.
only the only time I need help is if I've seen a configuration of an intersection I've never seen before and don't know how to work it.
Hmm. Got
But in general, I can go anywhere and figure out what I need to do and do that. That's what Kathy Ann teaches. She teaches according to Microsoft technologies. She teaches us the tools, all the applications, but
it.
she teaches us to teach ourselves. And
Hmm.
she teaches us to teach our students to teach themselves as well.
Hmm.
That's what's so great about ATI.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's much more useful to actually understand the way it works and how to apply it as opposed to just the rote memorization.
That's correct. And what she's doing now, she's developing, and she just rolled it out, an ATI Trainer Forum.
Hmm.
So a forum, you normally would think of a forum as on the web, a discussion group.
Hmm.
That's not what this is. She's calling it a forum, but it's not just a forum. It is a portal.
And
It
what does it do?
has, okay, it has a forum.
Hmm.
It has Discord, a Discord server, and it also has a trainer toolkit with a bunch of forms that allow trainers to document their students' grades, to provide material for invoicing, to do all of the paperwork tasks that trainers have to do,
Hmm.
and to automate it. So that's what she's been working on lately, and she's put her heart and soul into it.
That sounds really useful.
And I'm
Even coming from a
I,
sighted person.
and I'm basically with her on that. She's been consulting me about passing ideas back and forth, and so I'm working with her on that. I'll go in and create a trainer profile. I'll go in and I'll use my wife as an example because I'm training her. She'll be my last student, by the way.
Hmm.
If I can get her to do everything that I do in the household on computers, then I've won.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, then I won the game because um, if something were to happen to me, she needs to be able to take over
Hmm.
and 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 run the household and take care of herself. So that's my goal, and I'll be training her. And I'll use the trainer toolkit to document her performance, her progress, and that kind of stuff.
Good luck with
So
that. Because I
that's
know
the hard.
I'm a horseback riding instructor by trade.
Hmm.
And I will tell you that the worst people in the world to teach are your children or your spouse. Because
Yes.
what happens is if you give someone constructive criticism and they're paying you, you get, they listen to you and they do as they're told. But if you tell your spouse or your children what to do, then it's, I don't love you anymore. You're not good enough. At which point they lash out. At which point you lash out. At which point it gets really messy. So
Oh.
all of my writing students, a lot of them were people that whose parents taught, but they
Hmm.
would send them to me. And I sent my husband to somebody else after I started him because there's no way.
Yeah, I was doing. Kathy Ann has come up with a new technique. She's called it scaffolding. Here's the way that works. You start out by doing something for the student. You just do it and watch the student watch.
Hmm.
Then you guide the student to do the same tasks.
Hmm.
Then you let them take off.
Yes.
She calls it scaffolding.
Yes.
So I was going to try that with my wife, and she said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so the only thing I could do is just revert to other techniques.
Be flexible.
Um, exactly. I had to be because she says, well, if I do what you want, then I'm not close enough to the computer. I won't be able to hear because she's got a hearing loss too. And said, okay, well, all right.
Okay. I know it's tough teaching a spouse, and my heart goes out to you, even though I'm sure she's wonderful. My husband
She
can't
is.
teach me either. I'm unteachable.
She's we're getting much better at it. I'm getting better at it. And the biggest problem I had with her is she had some vision. And um, for those of you who are having a vision loss, you're going to struggle with this. And my heart's out to you because there's going to be a point that you're going to get to a place where you really ought to be using JAWS or the screen reader entirely, because it's going to be a bit of a strain, quite a strain. And I could hear her body straining. She's trying to
Hmm.
look for things. And if you just learn JAWS, then you don't have to do that. but she
Mhm.
lost all of her vision, and she says she's much happier because now she doesn't have to do it anymore. She can actually focus on learning JAWS.
That makes
And
sense. A previous interview that I did was with Sam Atwood, a comedian out of Portland, Maine. And he said that the moment when he realized that he needed to go all the way to his blind tools was the day he tried to go for a walk without a cane and smacked himself headfirst into to 3 or 4 different poles. And then it knocked some sense into him, he says.
it's bloody too.
Yeah, it's kind of messy. But
Hmm.
anyway, so moving on, were there any moments that you realized, this education is actually changing what's possible for me?
Well, basically, um, I've been teaching in the IRS for quite some time, and so I knew how to teach basically. But what
Mhm,
Kathy Ann taught us to do is how to work with an outline and how to use the technology, use the terminology that Microsoft uses, and
mhm,
speak the language, and and embrace the tools,
mhm.
and actually to develop good course material that people could work with and that sort of stuff. So that's the stuff I learned from Kathy Ann,
Yeah, that was
and I'm
kind of
still learning.
life-changing, I would think. Just
It
a whole
is.
different way of looking at things.
And I'm still learning from
Mhm.
her.
Yep, we all learn every day's a lesson, isn't it?
It is.
So let's go back to when you served on the Rehabilitation Council of Texas. Can you explain what the council does and how it supports the blind and visually impaired community in Texas?
Okay. As part of the rehabilitation plan, every state is supposed to have a rehabilitation council. And what the council's responsibility is to work with the agency to
Mhm,
develop plans, to develop the rehabilitation plans.
mhm,
They also do they also participate in the needs assessment where they conduct surveys and have town hall meetings and that sort of stuff. So they basically the Rehabilitation Council of Texas it's composed of some people that have disabilities
mhm,
and some people that are in the business community, some
mhm.
people that are in the rehabilitation sector, like rehabilitation counselors. So there's a cross section of the community that gets together in this council, and
Okay.
we do a lot. We review manuals
Mhm,
um, that our rehabilitation system in Texas is called Texas Workforce Solutions,
mhm.
um, and we will go through sections of their providers, their contract providers manual, um, and we'll go through parts of their counselor's manual, and we'll review it and with the agency, and we come up with an agreement basically, and we review all that stuff. Then they have a plan they have to do every 3 or 4 years. They have to amend the plans. We get involved in that, um, and
So
then
it's all
we
the big picture stuff.
all the big picture stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
so
what are
it's
some
working on the
things that they
system.
do? What are some things they do really well?
I think we have a really good relationship with our agency.
Mhm.
Really good. We do well. We work very well together, and have done so when I was on the council. It worked real well.
So where do
Um,
you think there's still a little bit of room for improvement?
well, we all can learn, and we all can learn more about rehabilitation and how that works. And the problem with that is um, it takes a while to ramp up.
Mhm.
When you get on the council, it takes a couple of years to learn, and there were term limits too, so you can serve 2 terms, and you termed out, and you'd have to wait to get back in the council.
I guess that would be a problem because just as you're figuring out how things work and starting to see results, it's time for your term to be over.
And to make it worse, they use track changes where um, they'll mark up a document, and then we
Mhm,
look at the document and we look at all the changes. It took me a long time to learn how to use track changes with Microsoft.
mhm,
And now, if I were on the council again, I would know exactly what to do.
mhm.
But then I did not. It was a big struggle. Every time we had a large document to review, I go, ugh, not again.
Not again. Oh, I understand that. I struggle still. I'm better with computers than I used to be. but I'm still learning every single day and how to make things better. And my husband just laughs at me.
Hmm.
When things aren't working and I'm yelling at the computer and maybe threatening it and telling it I'm going to throw it out the window, he says, "Do I have to move you to an agrarian society?" Which is his cue for reboot.
Oh, I see. Hmm.
And I kind of sheepishly smile at him and reboot the computer.
Hmm.
So,
Sometimes that's really what it takes.
yeah, yeah. And I'm learning. And now he only has to threaten me once or twice a month. So anyway, so when you were working for Integration Technology Group, you were training employees of the IRS, other agencies, plus training customers for the Voc Rehab in Texas. Those are
Yes.
huge systems. What did the ATI training help you to prepare to learn to how to teach those people?
Well, it just helped me to structure my lessons properly
Hmm.
and make sure that they were structured and that the flow worked well. So you didn't double back and backtrack and all that kind of stuff. You went progressively from step A to step B and that sort of thing.
Got it. And now, what were some of the accessibility challenges that you encountered in your positions along the way? What were some of the things that just were mind-blowingly annoying?
Well, okay, throughout my entire career, the agency was immature back in 1974
Hmm.
when I started. We didn't have a calculator, and the agency was not as mature back then, and neither was technology. So we didn't have calculators back then. So we had to um, do math on our abacus.
Oh my.
So that's the only thing we had.
Hmm.
Um, they didn't have the Braille. They didn't have Braille back then much. So we had to Braille our tax tables. And that's just was a lot of repetitive brailing and all kinds of stuff. So if you're in training class and you need to have something read, somebody said, have somebody read it to you on your own time.
Oh
And
my.
it's just the way that they had no idea how to deal with us.
Hmm.
Um, Now they do everything.
Hmm.
So now they have all the publications brailled. They provide braille printers. They provide uh, and of course you got calculators on your computers now. In Windows 11, you got a calculator on your computer.
Yep.
So everything's available now. Wasn't so back then.
That must make your job so much easier.
It did make it easier over time.
Hmm.
But here's what happened in IRS too. Remember, I was a developer.
Hmm.
I did programming and system administration. So the developer tools, strangely enough, are the last tools that are made accessible
Got it.
because um, the developers will make the tools accessible for the public, but a lot of times the development environments are not accessible.
Hmm. That makes sense.
And even in IRS systems, it just depended on who managed the contract and how the specifications were written.
Hmm.
Some systems were done very well, some systems not so much.
Hmm.
And so I had to develop an attitude of, look, if I can make it work, I'm going to do everything I can to make it work because I want to eat, live, work, and have fun. I don't want inaccessibility to stop me. I don't want it to stop me unless, I mean, there are times when you do get stopped, but
Hmm.
if it's at all possible, I want to make sure that I can get through it, whatever it takes.
That makes sense.
And it has to be that way
Yeah.
because, um, you can wait for something to be accessible and be unemployed,
Hmm.
or you can wait for something to be completely accessible. For example, are the sidewalks, are there nice cross curb ramps and everything, and
Hmm.
are there accessible street lights everywhere and things like that?
No.
Well, if yeah, I know. And so here's the alternative. If it's not accessible, you can either stay home, stay sheltered,
Hmm.
or get out and do it anyway.
Hmm.
And that's the philosophy I always took because I felt that was the only way I was going to survive and make it.
Yep. And you've
And
made quite the life of
and
basically
I
running into the wall and knocking it down.
and I have hit my share. I have tender spots in my body that I've hit so many times that they bleed. Um, Nowadays, I've learned to slow down, take it easy, and not go fast, not walk quickly and things like that, and give my cane a chance to tell me what's in front of me. Boy, when I was younger, I would lickety split.
I think patience is one of those things that gets learned over time
Yeah.
and
And
generally with bruises.
hmm and so the idea is you press for accessibility and is a not an or you press for accessibility and you do what you can to work around it until you get accessibility.
Mhm. And it
And
seems like if they see you trying, making things work for you, they're more likely to help you with the accessibility stuff. Whereas if they don't know
yes and no.
about, well, okay,
Yeah. Yes and no. I mean,
why is
that's
that?
possible sometimes. Well,
Hmm.
it just
Hmm.
is. The hardest thing about making things accessible is getting past the gatekeepers.
Hmm.
Okay, so you got a company, a large company like a restaurant chain or something like that, and their website's totally inaccessible. They
Hmm.
said, if you're blind or you can't access their website, call our customer service. Well, you call the customer service. There's somebody taking feedback. You don't know whether that feedback's ever going to get to where it needs to
Yeah.
be. Um, so and there sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Hmm. That makes sense. That makes sense. I guess it just takes people wanting to, wanting to help.
Yep,
And people, blind people saying, "Hi, I'm here
exactly.
and this matters."
Hmm
So, um, anyway, I'm looking at things from a big picture systems level, which is where you've lived a lot of your life.
hmm
What are the challenges in accessibility? Tell us about the government and society as a whole.
Okay, well, government society, the government is, for the example, the IRS now is quite mature.
Hmm.
They've been doing this for many, many years. So is the Social Security Administration. Now, I don't know if this how accessible the systems are in the Social Security Administration, but they've got to be better than some of the other federal agencies who
Hmm.
may not have ever had blind or visually impaired people working with them.
Hmm.
So the agencies that have had years, like IRS, but IRS has been um, training people. They've been having blind people since 1967.
Hmm.
So it's been a while. And
Yeah.
so they've learned over the years how to make things accessible.
Hmm.
And they're not perfect, um, but they keep trying. They keep working at it. And they at least have all our materials accessible now. The websites are much, much better. But there's still issues with some of the things, the websites. They're complicated and not easy to use, things like that. Other federal agencies, probably more so. There's more inaccessibility because they just don't know yet. They
Hmm.
haven't learned yet. So they're like kids. They have to be raised,
Understand. I
you know.
understand.
Um, Now with the Texas Workforce Commission, I found it to be very, very well done. They had forms done in Microsoft Word, and I was able to do all the paperwork and
Mhm.
everything. And so that was not a problem at all. They did a really good job for making things accessible.
That's
So
wonderful to hear. Because I've heard
it,
from different states, some are more accessible than others, which I guess
yes,
is probably a problem across the whole country and probably across the world.
yes, that's true.
But so now I want to kind of pivot things and
Okay,
ask one of my favorite questions of you. What makes your heart sing? What brings you joy?
a lot of things. First of all, I grew up around the water. I grew up in Michigan,
Hmm.
where the Great Lakes are. I love the beach. I love the waves. I love boats.
Hmm.
I'd love to learn to sail someday. So I like that. That's what I like to do. And that's some one thing. I like sports. Some sports. I like football.
Hmm.
I like baseball. I love curling. It's kind of neat.
Hmm.
Um, Hockey is good. So I like the sports.
Hmm.
And I like beautiful music, church music, um, and just really well written music and well performed music. And I love to explore. I'm an explorer. I
Hmm.
experiment, and curious. Um, People used to get mad at me for asking so many questions when I was a kid. I would ask questions all the time,
Hmm.
and my parents said, "Don't ask so many questions." You know,
I was told
I
the
was
same thing, at
I
least
was
by my
always
mom.
curious, and but over the years, I've sort of kind of put that back in the back burner. And now I'm just awestruck at at what's going on around me. And the simplest things are exciting to me. Like, gosh, if I take this stack of plates and put it away, I clear space on the counter. I don't know why. It's always been that way, but this is fascinating, you know? It's like, it's, I'm just curious and love life and
That's really
that sort of
cool.
stuff.
There are so many things that are interesting, even in our day-to-day lives. And I mean, I
And I,
love like the time right before dawn when it's very quiet, and especially with the snow on the ground and everything just
hmm
hushes. It's an
hmm
amazing time of day, and it happens every day.
yeah. And I like to go out and walk and
Mhm.
explore and solve problems and that kind of stuff. I enjoy doing that.
Very
Um,
cool. I
when
think
I
it's
travel,
probably served you well.
when I travel to a city, it depends. If I'm going to go there for a day or two, I don't care.
Hmm.
But I had an excellent trip to Kansas City with ITG. Went 3 weeks straight, and I had a guide dog back at that time. And we had 3 straight weeks in Kansas City, and I actually got to learn the city to a degree. I had the bus to work. We went to restaurants and just did all kinds of stuff. And it was a great trip.
Oh, wow. So what kind of food should I try next time I get to Kansas City?
Kansas City has their barbecue is good. It's not Texas barbecue; it's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like the barbecue sauce type thing.
Mm-hmm.
In Texas, they have barbecue sauce too, but for me, in Texas, it's the smoke that makes the difference. It's the smoked meat, and I don't care if I have barbecue sauce or not. In fact, I sometimes, a lot of times, will not.
Mm-hmm.
But in Kansas City, it's more about the sauces and things like that.
Got it.
Um, they have Kansas City has lots of fountains, which is really cool. You walk around that city, and there's all kinds of fountains and and that
That's
kind of stuff. They
awesome.
got a cool train station. Um, in fact, to get to the IRS, Kansas City, what you have to do is you have to go through the Kansas City Union Station parking garage to get into the visitor center, which is underground.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got a people mover that takes you under Pershing Road and then into the IRS.
Oh, wow.
So the first, and then of course for the IRS employees that work there, they have special entrances. They call them badge entrances. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so my first trip to Kansas City was on 2015. I think it was 2015 or something. I can't remember what year it was, but it was in August, but it was a rare cool spell. It was like 68 degrees and rain. And I got out there and the things that the instructions say go to 333 Pershing Road. So I took a cab because there was no Uber at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Took a cab, got to 333 Pershing Road. It's a badge entrance. These guys are going in, and I stopped somebody. I said, "How do I get in here?" I said, "Well, see, you're going to have to go across the Union Station." I said, "I don't think so. I don't know the city. This is my first time here. I don't know what to do. You need to get a supervisor out here to help me." So they did. By the end, I was going through Union Station and going through there and all that kind of stuff. Never had a problem at the end. And
Got
so
it.
but that's was fun. It was an interesting experience.
That sounds really cool. Oh, I've never been to Kansas City. I've done Memphis, and I love Memphis. That's one of my favorite places. But I have not gotten to Kansas City yet. I've done St. Louis, but in Chicago, but not that yet.
Have you been
So,
to Mud Island in Memphis? They have this thing called Mud Island. I think it's called Mud Island. It's a museum. It's a museum.
no, I haven't been to that.
And it's a simulation of the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, the Mississippi River.
Oh, cool.
And
No,
at
I
the end
didn't
of the
see
Mississippi River, there's a swimming pool, which is the
that.
Gulf.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's called Mud Island.
Oh, wow. But we
And
did the Blues Museum. We did do the
mhm.
Blues Museum in Mississippi, and that was incredible.
Did
And
you do Beale Street?
of course, can't
Oh
miss
yeah.
Beale Street. Just spending the evening out there walking and stopping in and listening. If you hear music that you like, you stop in and you sit there and you listen. It's
hmm
incredible. And just the smells and just the feel of all the people around. It's incredible. It really is.
Well, we've been to, of course, Austin has Sixth Street, and Sixth Street
Mhm.
is nothing compared to Beale. I think Beale's much better than Sixth, even though Austin claims to be the live music capital of the world. Um, it's Beale Street. Just listening to the blues and stuff like that on Beale Street was just
Mhm.
great.
Yep.
And
I
of
completely
course, you got
agree.
to go to Tunica County, Mississippi to gamble. That's fun too.
I've been to Biloxi, Mississippi to gamble, but I haven't
Hmm.
been to Texas. Oh, so anyway, so if someone's just beginning to struggle with vision loss, maybe they're feeling overwhelmed or unsure of what comes next, what advice would you give to them?
Um, Depends on your age. And the
Okay.
reason I say that is if you're over 55, there's an older independent living program for blind folks.
Mhm,
And each state has that program.
mhm,
If, however, you're under 55, absolutely set a career goal.
mhm.
And the reason that's so important is because if you're under 55, if you don't have a career goal, you can't get services.
Got it.
So you've got to have a work goal um, if you want help.
Got it. So
If
that
you
makes
really
it
want,
difficult.
it makes it difficult because that's the only way, rehabilitation is expensive. It's time consuming, takes several years to a lot of times uh, get all the skills and everything like that,
Hmm.
especially if you're going for a career.
Hmm.
Usually, a lot of times you can get your skills in about maybe a year, 9 months to a year, they say in a rehabilitation center.
Hmm.
But um, that's costly too.
Hmm.
So I advise anybody who's under 55, make sure you have a career goal in mind
Hmm.
and plan to work. This,
Got it.
in fact, nowadays, the law basically assumes that people with disabilities can work.
Hmm.
And that's what I learned as part of being on the Rehabilitation Council of Texas. The presumption is that everybody's able to work,
Hmm.
basically. Um, and so that's where it is. And the federal government said, look, if you're under 55, you know, um, you're expected to work.
Got it.
So
Got it. And
that's my advice.
that's either harder or easier depending on who you are and kind of where you are,
Correct.
too, I would think.
And I also just recommend that don't wait too late to embrace your screen readers and your technology as a blind person, especially if you know you're going to use your vision all at one time. At
Hmm.
some time, you're going to lose it later. Don't wait too long.
Hmm.
And I don't know how to answer that question, but when the person's fine, you find that you're struggling, that you can't read the screen anymore, that
Hmm.
your head hurts because of the exhaustion, then it's time maybe to start learning how to use the screen reader and get rid of that strain and become productive. Because um, I used to think, Michelle, that I was not as productive as my sighted folks.
Hmm.
And I've gotten feedback from my coworkers, and they go, "Oh no, oh no." Sometimes you make our eyes boggle.
Hmm.
You do things so quick. We're just sitting there, you know.
Yeah. Well, just because your eyes don't work doesn't mean your brain doesn't work.
Yeah, and the reason it doesn't work is because of accessibility.
Hmm.
So also remember, if there's something that's not accessible, it's not you. I had to get over that because I used to beat myself up for stuff that wasn't accessible.
Hmm.
So if something's not accessible, it's not your fault.
No.
Um, but it would help you to actually work around it if you can, just to
Hmm.
get through, just to get past it, and then move on from there and do
Got,
your best.
got it.
And then at the same time, do what you can to make uh, accessibility, make people aware of accessibility and how important it is.
Hmm.
Do that at the same time.
Yeah, I have a tech tester who's blind. His name is Scott Joffrey. He runs the Blind Striker YouTube channel, and he goes through all my videos and tells me if they're accessible or not. Because I can, close my eyes and use the screen reader, but it's really not the same as someone who is actually blind,
Hmm.
telling me, okay, this stinks. Or
Hmm.
maybe you could do that a little different. Or, oh, that's good. Okay, that works.
Yeah, if people can learn to do that.
Hmm.
Freedom Scientific, there's two guys that really learned it well. Um, there was Eric Damery,
Hmm.
and I can't remember Dan's. I gotta remember his last name. Um, he was a trainer. I can't remember what Dan's last name was, but they both learned to use JAWS, and they would work like blind folks.
Hmm.
They just learned to do that.
Hmm. So that would be something that I probably should learn how to do. put that on the list as one of the
Yeah.
next things. So, if you had the power to change one or two things about accessibility in government and society, what would you change first?
Boy, that's a hard question. There's so many things to address. Um, I would basically I work on computers, make the
Mhm,
technology as accessible as possible
mhm,
because because that gets you through.
mhm,
Um, Also the environment. The environment is so important. An accessible environment,
mhm,
sidewalks, curb cuts, accessible pedestrian signals, all those sorts of things can make a big difference in how you can get around the city.
mhm,
Um, Transportation, you know, announcements on the buses, QR codes at the polls, so it's devices where you can find what bus stops you're
mhm,
near, that sort of stuff. Now, I have workarounds for all that kind of stuff,
mhm.
so that doesn't stop me, but all that kind of stuff would make it easier for everybody.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a ton of sense. And I've heard that from other people who are blind and low vision too, is, accessibility and transportation is one of the big hurdles just to be able to get places, once they can't drive anymore.
Well, that's what I hope. I mean, everybody's complaining about autonomous vehicles. I'm looking forward to the day I
Yeah,
can drive.
that
I
makes
just
a lot
hope
of
I'm
sense
still
too.
young enough to have fun with it.
Hmm. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to have like a Ferrari that can that's self-driving? Of
But
course, they're hard to get in and out of.
on the other hand, I declined we had Waymo in this town.
Hmm.
And I declined a Waymo ride. And the reason I did is because what if I needed some help at the other end? What if I needed to know where the door was? Or what if I needed to carry some groceries and I need some help? The Waymo's not going to be able to do that for me. So I declined it. And Uber asked me why. And I said, well, there's sometimes I actually need human help.
Yeah.
Somebody that would help me.
Well, that makes sense too. Well, alrighty. So thank you so much, Paul, for sharing your journey and for introducing us to ATI and telling us all about your amazing life. I mean, you've done a lot more than most sighted people do in their entire lifetimes. If people want to learn more about ATI, where should they go?
Blind dot training.
Okay, blind dot training.
That's
All right.
simply blind dot training. And there are articles about the forum on there. There's articles about the textbooks. And by the way, even if you're not going to be a trainer, Kathy Ann will be glad to sell you textbooks and the
Oh,
application
cool.
you want to learn. So
Hmm.
she's not exclusively, she doesn't exclude people that are not trainers at
Hmm.
all. Um, but her basic mission is to teach people how to train people.
Hmm.
And then, but she'll be glad to sell her textbooks to anyone who wants them.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for watching this episode of Thriving with Low Vision. And if this conversation resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what stood out to you. You'll find links in the description to explore eleVIVO's free 6-month trial for individuals, along with resources and links to ATI. And remember, vision loss does not mean loss of contribution or possibilities. Until next time, keep thriving.
Thanks for tuning into our series, Thriving with Vision Loss. If you would like to learn more about thriving with blindness or low vision, check out eleVIVO.com. If you have questions or would like to be featured in an upcoming episode of our Thriving with Vision Loss series, email Michelle B at eleVIVO.com. Links are in the description. The white letters on the black background fade as Circles by Classless Act plays.